I should probably mute. Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You can mute the stream. It's all,
Okay.
so you don't get the playback, the feedback.
Yeah.
Well, how's it going, dude?
Going well.
Nice, nice. You are I from the emails, if I remember right, you're a Protoss player, correct?
Zerg.
Okay.
Uh,
Even better, man.
mm,
You get the
I'm like
best coaching then.
perfect. Yeah, I'm like a pretty low level Zerg. Like I kind of bounce between like a gold tier one, but I bounce between gold tier one, gold tier two,
Okay. Sounds good. Uh,
depending on how often I get like play harassy players who tend to kick my butt, or get macro games against Zerg, which I tend to do pretty well in.
nice. All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing your games. I guess there's like the last thing left to do is just hop onto BattleNet if you're not already on, and then
So I'm in vibrators right now.
okay.
Uh,
What's your name in
uh,
there? John Fear?
John. Yeah.
Okay. Got you, dude. All right, so this is the rundown. This is how this goes. I'm going.
I've only been playing for a couple of. I've only been playing for like a month, so like things that might seem simple to other people might I might need
Oh
some
no,
help with.
no worries, dude. If you're gold, I'll try and really dial it in for you and make sure we get you the best possible, like information that can help you out. All right, so I invited you to the party, and I'm gonna make you leader, so that you can host the replay. But before you start the game,
Mm-hmm.
make me the host of the lobby, not the group leader, but the host of the lobby. So all you gotta do right
Okay.
now is just go to replays and then click the whatever replay you want to open, and then hit watch with others, just to start.
Okay.
So how long you been playing StarCraft 4 in general? I know you said you came back recently, but uh,
Oh,
you a Brood War guy? You a StarCraft 2 guy?
sorry. I think my mic disconnected for a second.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all good.
so I played some Brood Wars, and then started StarCraft 2 a couple weeks ago. And my buddy was like, "Hey, we should play some StarCraft 2," because we were tired of playing Counter Strike. So we booted up from StarCraft 2 and been playing too much the last couple weeks.
Nice. So you're super fresh to StarCraft 2 then. You have no real background to this game.
Yeah, like I've only played one game of Terran and haven't played any games of Protoss.
Nice. Well, you're just like you're like clay waiting to be molded at this point. Then you have no bad habits really. Then probably
Well,
because you have no
well,
habits.
yeah,
You just don't have habits at all.
yeah, right.
All right. So here, make right click my name and just make me host of the lobby, and then
Okay. Promote to lobby host.
perfect. And then now I can just control the replay timer and move it around and
Okay.
stuff.
So this is a game against Terran, where they kind of harassed me for a long time, and then ended up crushing me
Okay.
like late game.
All right. What kind of playstyles do you prefer to go for? What are you into?
Um, Usually I try to go like, I mean, I've been kind of doing macro. I've been playing your Bronze GM build almost exclusively.
Okay.
The kind of two hatchery up to like 20 roaches, then third hatchery, and then kind of roach hydra, and then sometimes into brood lords if I can't crack.
Okay. I like it. I like it. I would definitely continue to recommend keep doing that up until the point when you feel way more comfortable with everything and you are just like kind of crushing everybody. Then you maybe adding in like Zergling type builds would be fine. So
Okay.
I like where your head's at with your openers and your playstyles from what you've told me. But I guess we'll just really delve into things that can be improved upon and stuff like that. So far, your opener is just fine. You have you didn't really undersaturate your mineral line. I like that a lot. That is the biggest key to making a good or a bad build. So far so good. Um, we'll look at your scouting in a second here when your overlord gets there, but yeah, man. So far so good. And also, just I know it's our first coaching lesson, and just feel free as well if I get on this like rant where I'm talking a lot. Always feel free to interrupt me if you have something you want to say, rather than trying to hold that thought, because I might make you forget it if you let me finish. Because sometimes I'll talk for like 5 minutes. So feel free if you ever want to interrupt me, you totally can.
Okay.
All right, so you see right now
So should I be watching your stream or
You should
watching?
no. Watch the in your game with me. I'll point out things that like are important to look at. Um, and right now,
Okay, 'cause
what's
it
up?
looks like I can control it, and I'm not seeing kind of what you're.
Oh, you can control yourself. Yeah, you can't control the timer or like how we pause and go forward, but you can move
Okay.
your own personal screen around at will, basically.
Is there any way for me to kind of see what you're looking at right now?
If you click the drop down on everyone,
Uh-huh.
is my name in there? If not, then you can't.
It's not.
Okay, don't worry. I'll make it really clear as to what I'm looking at. I'll always explain it. Like go to his
Okay.
natural and stuff like that. So far,
Okay.
nothing's happened. Your scout has been correct. Like up to this point, you've played the game perfect.
Okay.
The only thing I could critique you on, which it's not that big of a deal yet, is here. It's a tip I'll just give you really fast. I like giving this tip to people that may or may not know this, but I want you to go back to your main base right now really fast, and I want you to
Hmm.
click on your mineral patches. And do you see
Okay.
how some of them have like 1,500 and some of them have only like 600 or 700?
Uh-huh.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
So the larger amount is a close patch, and the smaller amount is a far patch. All I want
Okay.
you to do in future games, if you want to maximize yourself, is I want you to try your best to stack 2 drones per close patch all the time when you're not doing anything.
Okay.
And then
So, because I guess at 16 it's going to be two per mineral, but it's like basically that time in between
yeah.
12 and 16. Make sure the close ones are saturated first.
And also sometimes the AI will split 3 to 1. It won't always go 2 per patch,
Okay.
and it won't fix itself. So if you look for that, you can also fix it, and you can make sure your income a little bit more efficient that way. But
And what? How much does that usually kind of add? Is that like?
a bit. I would say it would get down. Like if you did it perfectly in the beginning, you would get your natural down probably like 2 seconds faster, because it would give you
Okay.
that little boost of minerals a little bit quicker, and then those 2 seconds are going to translate into like that could have also been 2 seconds every single time when you could have made a faster larva, which is another drone mining faster, and that's giving you more income. It just like cascades all throughout the game. It makes a major
Right.
difference.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's like it pays interest, and so if you have a slightly larger kind of sum at the beginning, then like it's growing more than like if you have $1,000, that makes you more money than if you have 900.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the only thing I could say. That could be something you could work on. But other than that, your overall saturation, like the amounts you left on your mineral line, were perfect. The timing you took your natural was perfect. The timing you took your pool and your gas was perfect. It was all good. So up to this point, perfect play.
Okay.
We're gonna look at your scouting now, though, and so we're kind of gonna take a peek at his natural really fast, and
Okay.
we see that he's expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And we also see that he made a Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And also a Marine. So nothing too crazy. I don't mind in Gold League if you just kind of chill here and you're like, okay, he expanded. Let's not make this too crazy. I'm just going to chill. If you start, I will just say this just for future reference. It's always
Mm-hmm.
a great idea with your first Overlord to kind of poke his ramp. Just the edge of the ramp just to see like what he's building. And if you were to see a factory and a barracks and that reactor on that barracks, you could immediately tell that he's going Hellions. And that's good information to have, just in general. And the reason why is that you would know that is because a reactor and a factory have almost the same build time. It's only like a 6-second difference. One's
Okay.
like 43 seconds, one's like 36 seconds, or something around there. It's usually like 6 or 7 second difference. But anyways, what that would mean is if he's going Hellions, and you just kind of like, at that point, like wall the front of your base, like you're good to go, like kind of like how I show everyone to do in Bronze GM.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's going, let's just say hypothetically, this reactor is almost done and this factory is just started. That is more of like a bio-esque build, and then walling off the front of your base with Evo chambers might not be the best idea. This is future reference, just something to keep in mind for the future, but you don't need to worry about it too hard right now. But yeah.
Okay, so like factories means Hellions, in which case it should wall off. If instead he's going reactor, then probably more of a bio build, and then walling off doesn't help as much.
Yeah, factories means Hellions if he's making the reactor at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And the way you can tell that is if you just look at health bars of the buildings, they should be roughly along the same progress.
Okay.
And then and that's basically it. Anyways, going back to what you were doing in your build, I think against Terran, what you need to kind of do, it's kind of required, is it doesn't matter if you have seen or not seen a Reaper. As soon as you start your queens, just start 4 lings every game. And I know I might not have always done that in Bronze to GM because I didn't fight a lot of Reapers for a long time. But this is also something you should probably do. It's a good habit to get into. And the next time I make a Bronze to GM series, I am going to do it every single time because I don't want to teach people bad habits of being like, don't worry about it.
So as soon as I finish the 2 queen, or as soon as I start the 2 queens, then start up 2 batches of lings.
Yep. That way, because pulling your drones off the middle line like this, it sucks. Like you're already losing more value than if you would have just made lings. And then also especially if a drone dies, this is even worse. But yeah, we'll go ahead and keep it going now.
Okay.
See what happens. See, like a drone died. This is like now the lost mining time plus the drone dying. 2 drones die. Like even 2 drones now, even 3. I'm gonna pause it again and yeah, like if we had 4 lings there, that's so much less damage you would have taken. Like, you might not even have lost any lings, and maybe he even loses the Reaper if he's like freaking out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so always just make 4 lings with your queens, and and then the golden rule of that is don't leave your creep.
Okay.
Just if he like charges your drones, charge his Reaper with your lings. If he like tries to kite you all the way out of creep, don't chase him. Just go back to your drones. And
so just kind of try to chase him off the creep.
Yeah, because if you chase him off creep, you will lose all your lings.
Okay.
But then all you're gonna do is push him back for like 15 seconds, and your queen will be out. Which is why it's great to just kind of guard your drones and then don't chase him off of creep.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so moving on. I can see your layer is started. Your droning is still going well. You're missing an injector natural, though. That's kind of a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, especially this early.
Yeah.
Like.
Yep. I'm glad that you say that because that mentality is so important in StarCraft. Like, a lot of people don't understand especially this early mentality. They're like, whatever, like one larva inject is 1 larva inject. I'm like, no, it's actually like 1 larva inject is worth so much more for the first larva inject because it sets the pace for the rest of your build.
It's because like if I miss a larva inject now, like if I fully missed it, like I think maybe I was like if you fully miss a larva inject here, that's like 3 drones, and so I'm missing out on 3 drones, then I'm missing out on all the drones that those 3 drones could have produced, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. It's massive. All right, so now. Yeah, I mean, other than the miss larva inject and the fact that your drones died instead of making lings, your play is still fine. It's not like horrible or anything.
Yeah, I think one of the things that like I definitely struggle with right now is as long as I'm not being harassed, I'm pretty good about injects.
Yeah.
But as soon as I get harassed, like I kind of go into like put out all the fires mode, and
yeah.
I'm not quite sure what the right way to like obviously like I try to do it, but just kind of in the moment, it's hard to remember to like inject when somebody's killing your stuff.
All right, so here's a nice tip for you. Okay, whenever you play against Terran, I love that your first Overlord is where it is, and then now a great thing to do, and I also love what your second Overlord is. Your second Overlord is in a perfect spot as well, by the way. If your third Overlord was above the high ground area where the Reaper could jump up into your main, that that alone gives you so much more of like a warning, because now you have every entrance into your base from just the Reaper could be seen, and you could. What's up?
So kind of put that Overlord where his Reaper is right now.
A little bit more south than that. Like, you see how there's those 3 lines on the cliffs, like the 3 teal lines. Put it like right in the middle of that.
Okay.
And then you can see a Reaper jumping up or jumping down a cliff.
Okay.
But the best thing about the best thing about injecting and macroing while you're dealing with pressure is you have to just realize that what he's doing to you is actually not scary at all. It's kind of just like it literally is just whatever. The more scary thing is actually you just getting distracted by it and just disregarding all your macro. So the best thing you can do is kind of just like, if you have a spare queen, or if you have those lings, for instance, just kind of aim move it while it's in your base, and just look at your queens every time and go, okay, I need to inject. I need to make sure I don't miss this. I need to make sure I'm making drones. That should always be your sequence. And if you can't physically remember it, it's totally fine. Most people can't. I would say like 90% of people I would coach cannot remember to do this. A good way to follow this up is to just maybe like bind camera hotkey to like toggling your hatcheries. By default, it's on backspace. You can bind that to like spacebar, and you can just hit it once. And just while you hit it once, just look at your queen for a second, because you're forcing yourself to hit that with like your muscle memory. You can do this over time. And be like, okay, I hit spacebar. It's bouncing between my my hatcheries. I see a queen that's ready to inject. Let's just do it really fast because I'm staring at it. Every time I hit spacebar, that means I need to look at a queen. So you condition yourself to be trained like that. And another one could be every time you're not injecting and you know you've injected just now, if you're not currently microing anything, just be like, for your hatchery hotkeys on 4, so go 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, and just repeat this over and over and over. You don't got to do it all game. You just do it for the first maybe like 5 minutes. Okay. So you don't miss the beat on, you know, while you're like looking at a Reaper or something, or an Adept. You're not like, oh fuck, I just missed out on like 6 larvae. Yeah. Whoops, like that sucks. It'll help you, like, you just got to develop the muscle memory, and it will help you not have to think about it while you do it. Yo, Wilnos, thank you very much for the 6-month sub. And then yeah, man. You're fully saturated now. This is the time to make the roaches. And then also the other thing too is I like to I did this a lot in Bronze Gym as well, but I like to definitely make it a habit to do not spread creep all the time for someone who is getting used to the mechanics. Like right there, you just spread 1 tumor, which it's fine. It's not the worst. But I like it when people will rotate all their macro at once. So you just what that'll do is it'll make your creep spread a little bit worse, but it'll make your injects a lot better, because the timing of inject is about it's like 25 seconds. It's 29 seconds, and the timing of a creep tumor is about like 11 seconds. So your creep can definitely be utilized a lot more than an inject will be. And if you ever do find yourself fucking crushing your injects and you're not missing them at all, you can try to manage multitasking larva timers with inject timers. But the thing that fucks up people the most is trying to memorize multiple timers on different timers, like multiple different timers basically. So if you're trying to remember 11-second timer, 11-second timer, 29-second timer, 11-second timer, 11-second timer, like there's gonna be a little bit of overlap, but there's also gonna be a lot of difference in when you're doing each one. And the more tasks you make yourself remember, the more likely you're gonna forget the ones you're working on already. It's just like overwhelming your brain when you're not used to it. And because the time when you should do tasks like in frequency like that hard is when you seriously don't think about it, because it's just muscle memory. It's seared into your fucking brain at this point. Okay. So for now, just focus on injecting, and as soon as you inject, then you creep spread. Injecting, and then you creep spread. And it's just like a sequence every time. And I guarantee it'll help. It'll like injecting is more important than creep spread if we have to pick one over the other, and it'll definitely help your injects by far. Okay. And then yeah, if you ever get to a point where you're comfortable, by all means then ramp up your creep spread a little bit if you think you're able to handle it without fucking up the injecting. Okay. So moving into the game a little bit further now, I like your current roach count is good. It's getting at this point now though, I would say it needs to stop. It's getting a little bit on the it's getting a little bit on the excessive side. Oh baby. So what I would recommend you do is right now you have 21 roaches. I would recommend you stop at about maybe half of that, like roughly like let's just say 12. Okay, 12 roaches is like solid. 12 roaches is good at dealing with lots of different types of harass, whether it be like biopressures or Hellion pressures, stuff like that. It'll allow you also to transition really quickly back into your droning, which is the important part, because even though your third base is not done, you actually want to saturate that base to the point to where when it is done, you already have like 10 drones on it, or almost like full saturation. So you're definitely getting kind of screwed here now, because the more roaches you make after the point where it's like it's no longer for defense, now you're over making roaches, it turns you more into like an all-in kind of a build.
I see. So like one of the things I've run into is with playing bronze, like kind of the bronze GM style, is that we send out the roaches, but like with a lot of times against Terran, especially if they have a tank or two, I feel like I'm just kind of like throwing my roaches into a blender. Yeah. And so I was wondering kind of like what's kind of the fix to that? Is there something I'm not doing, or maybe I should be
I got the perfect
Like,
fix for you right now, dude. You
yeah.
ready? You ready? Here you go. You, instead of making 20 roaches, you make 12, and then so you're already going back into droning a lot sooner, so you're getting ready for the late game a lot faster. And then if you attack his base and you get shot by a siege tank, you can look at your army just like as soon as you approach his door. You can take a look at your army just for a second, and if a siege tank shoots you, just go back home. Just run back home. And now those roaches no longer are going to be for a little bit of a pressure. They're 100% going to be on just for defense.
Okay. Could I also do that with like? So I have that overlord over there. Like if I morph that into like an overseer and drop a changeling, and so even before like I like basically kind of like do like a quick check and be like, okay, there's a tank.
Yeah.
Like
Then you don't have to go
build
at
some
all.
roaches, go into the late game, or like okay, there's no tank, go for a little bit more and like try to hit him hard on the natural.
No matter what, if he does or does not have a tank, I don't ever want you to make more than 12 roaches.
Okay.
So like you even see he has a tank here with your overlord, which if you see that, that's even better. Then you don't have to commit to this at all.
Okay.
What I want you to do though is I mainly want you to saturate your economy, like your third base, quickly, and then just make enough roaches to defend yourself. Because the main reason why I really like the main reason why I was so adamant about okay guys, do the roach timing in Bronze GM, do the roach timing and then macro out of it, is because most players do not play off of muscle memory in lower leagues. They play off of like what their brain is currently thinking of at that exact moment in time, which is exactly kind of what we just talked about, like the whole mentality where you're gonna miss a lot of things if you try to keep balance of a lot of different shit, and you're also get distracted by getting attacked. And you're not always like just forcing yourself to hit the keys that you need to be hitting for macro. A lot of players would actually fall behind, even if you took a less efficient trade, where let's say you lose like 1,500 resources with your roaches, and he only loses 1,000, so you lose 50% more than he did. A lot of players would actually stop macroing while you did that timing, and you would still get the lead because of that. That's the main reason why I encourage people to do that shit so much back in Bronze GM. But if your opponent is very, he's ready, he's like, I got tanks behind a wall, I'm good to go. You can just not even go for it, and you can just keep the macro going, and you're good, and you'll be, solid, for sure.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna pause it again one more time and really quickly just hit I on the keyboard, and it'll take you to the income tab, and you can see that you're actually tied exactly with the Terran, and this is not where you want to be. And this is because you made so many roaches. That's the only reason why this is happening.
Yeah, had I built 10, if there's been drones instead, that would have been 15 extra drones, which would have fully saturated this one, and been kind of on my way to saturating a fourth.
Exactly.
Okay.
Alright, so he pushed you away with tanks. I'm glad you didn't commit to that fight because you would have lost the roaches. You're coming back home to defend. This is the right call, but yeah. Like,
but had I made better calls before, I wouldn't have had to.
Exactly. Like if you would have saw the tank with your overlord, and you would have went, you know what, I'm not going to commit to that. I'm just going to like the 12 roaches defensively. Not only would you have had more drones, but you also would have been able to have defended this with 12 roaches.
Makes sense.
All right, moving forward. Also, as soon as you start saturating your third base, this is I would say that is the perfect time to start your Hydra Den. And also, just for reference, as soon as you start saturating your third base as well, like we're talking, once your third base has maybe like 14 drones on it, okay, like 14 or 15 drones on it, it would not be a bad idea then as well to just, if you're gonna play defensive, to just throw down a blind spore at every base, just one spore crawler in each one of your mineral lines. That way, if your opponent's like that kind of a guy who's like, I'm rushing Banshees with Cloak, or I'm going to rush a BC, you have something that can deal with it way better than just being like, because, like right now, if he did something like that to you, it would cripple you pretty hard. It would screw you.
Yeah. I've definitely had that also with the Invisible Protoss unit.
TT? Dark Templar?
Yeah, where I'm sitting there, and by the time I realize he's going Dark Templar, I've lost 1 or 2 entire drone lines. And I'm like, oh, I wish I'd built spore crawlers a minute ago.
Yeah, it sucks. It's always the worst way to lose, because you just watch it kill everything, and you're like, I can see it a little bit, like the shimmer of it, but I can't do anything about it.
smashing V down on all my overlords as quickly as possible, hoping that if I hit V just a little bit faster, it'll come out earlier.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. So this is when I think the game is starting to fall apart a little bit. And here's the tasks that I think you're doing. And what I think you're doing is I think you're staring at his army, and you're like, okay, let's fuck this bio up. I don't want to take any more damage from these medevacs. They're really annoying. I need to make sure my drones stay safe. Let's make sure we're good. But another way we could do this is if you focus on inject, and then spread your creep as soon as you do that, like we talked about it before. If the Terran player is moving around with medevacs like this, it would not be the worst idea to just green box half of your roaches and put them on the top side of your map, like the north side of your creep here, and then green box the other part of your roaches and put them down towards like maybe your natural to your main base. And the reason,
so maybe even in like 2 different controlled groups.
You don't even need to do 2 different control groups if you don't want to. Like I would say that is advanced. Honestly, you could just forget about leave them and forget about them. And then every time you do your creep spread, you can move the roaches wherever they are, like if the ones on the outside of the creep, move them to the edge of the creep again. Okay. And that way you're going to, like if a Terran tries to to just drop you all over the place, suddenly you have roaches all over the place that can like guard you easier. And it like the more creep you have, the easier it is to defend yourself properly because you see everything further away.
What about also putting maybe an overlord, kind of here, maybe about 2 screen lengths to the left of my like main base, and then maybe one like a screen length above my top base.
I think the perfect. I think the places the places you should put your overlords is open airspace. So can you see my ping right now? Okay, so there would be a good spot. 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 That's a good spot. Good spot. Good spot. Good spot. Just like
how do I figure out where's kind of how do I figure out how far away to like put them? Because I guess like the farther away, the harder they are to bring in if they're like deciding to come through and just destroy a bunch of things, or if they like kind of.
So here's the perfect way to do it. Every time you make an overlord, your first, second, and third overlords should be used for scouting. Like your first one goes across the map. Second one kind of watches over your natural. Third one can guard, like we talked about, where it's like near the ramp where the Reaper could go.
Right,
things like that.
Reaper overlord.
Yeah. But after that, like overlords 4 to like 15, every single time you make one, as you make it, you could be like select hatchery, make overlord. As it's in the egg, you can right click the open airspace, like one of these ping spots. And always do closest and then go further out. And then the next overlord you make, next time you make one, do it in the next spot. That's the next available open air spot. And then the next one for the next one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
what? Oh, sorry.
The last thing I was going to say was the reason why it's going to put them in open air spots is because there's nothing there's nothing your opponent at all can do about it, besides having like a Phoenix, a Mutalisk, or like a Viking to kill them. And you're not, if your opponent were to commit to being like, okay, he's got a Viking, he's not going to kill all of them immediately. You could just physically like drag your camera over the side of the map where your overlords are and just grab them and pull them back if he does happen to make a Viking and wants to start killing them. And you're going to lose maybe like 1, maybe 2.
Okay, so like put him out, and then if he starts going overlord hunting, like kind of pull him back to my base.
Yeah, that's fine. And then you can pull him back then, and you won't really lose a lot anyways. But the reason why it's so good to have them in open airspace is because bio can't kill them, but you can always see drops coming if he tries to hide them.
Okay.
So
because I was like, I think in an old like there were a couple of games where my opponent went overlord hunting, and I think that made me a little bit scouting shy with the overlords because I was like supply blocked, and he started attacking me, and I was like, oh, I want to build a bunch of units. Oh, screw me! I'm not able to do that.
The only time you should ever have an overlord early game over like in a spot on the map that is not an open airspace is if you're scouting kind of like how you are with your first overlord, where you push across the map, stuff like that. That's fine. And if it dies, it dies. But every overlord after that, like you cannot get killed by ground units if you go to these open air spots. So the overlords are supposed to cover the open air spots, like the dead space, and then your creep is supposed to cover the ground. You should never have the overlords covering the ground once you're at that stage where, you're filling up the gaps with your overlords, unless it's like a scout in his base essentially.
Okay.
But yeah, any other questions so far about anything else we've covered?
No, that'll make sense.
Okay, let's keep going, dude. So You are not droning. No, so okay, let me break this down. Your main base is being a little neglected. You're a little oversaturated, and your one of your gases is under, like, it's not feeling the love, basically.
Yeah.
So every time when you inject, now you can also see too your queens are they're gaining lots of energy. They're not really injecting anymore because you're really tunnel visioning on that army.
Yeah.
So just putting your army in good spots and kind of forgetting about it is great, and then just having like having creep on the map would show you, oh, he's over here. Let's just send the roaches that way. Forget about it. Like, don't even look at it twice. And because the thing that's crazy, this is the mindset that's like really hard to develop, but once you do, you crush everybody in lower leagues. If you don't put a lot of emphasis or a lot of attention on his army, and you just make like the 12 roaches like we said, and you're just going to poke him with it. You fully saturate your third base out of that. You make a little bit more roaches again while taking a fourth base. And now your roach count, instead of 12, is now like 25 off of 3 fully saturated bases. And then you start saturating your fourth. All you got to do is be like, okay, Terran's pushing my creep in this location. Move some of my roaches over there. Forget about it. I'm not even going to look at it again. And I'm saturating my fourth base. And then he'll be like, oh shit, roaches are here. Let's maneuver. Let's load up. Let's move somewhere else. And you're investing minimal time to defend yourself. He's investing a lot of time to try and set up these like engagements and micro units that don't necessarily need to be microed at this point in the game. And he's like neglecting his macro, for instance. And what?
Okay, so it's kind of like I've seen some people talk about kind of resource trading, like, oh, you know, if he has immortals like zealots, or sorry, zerglings trade against them, but this is kind of the idea of like APM trade, where it's like, okay, like,
yeah,
I'm gonna do this and spend my APM like kind of in a more like something where I'm gonna get more bang for my buck on my APM than like watching. Okay,
that's 100% what it is. It's 100% APM trading. I'm glad that I like that you're saying these terms and shit, because it makes me more it makes me more confident in the fact that you really do understand it. You're just kind of like trying to get used to executing it more or less. Because yeah, the stage you want to get to in StarCraft, for instance, in a 1v1 scenario, when you macro, the stage you want to get to as Zerg is you want to get to that moment when you just max out an army, attack him, remax an army, attack him again, remax an army, attack him again. You just like basically make the hammer, you hit him over the head with it again and again and again. And APM trading is how you're going to get there faster or slower. So if you're investing too much time into shit that doesn't actually matter, you're going to get there way slower, and you're not going to be able to, smash them as hard. But if you realize, okay, well, my opponent's kind of just like trying to make me waste time by wasting his own time. But if I don't feed into that and I just really focus on my injects, focus on my macro, I have roaches with timings where I get 2 base saturation, 12 roaches. I get 3 base saturation, let's add on another 12 roaches. Something like that. Like, it could be something as simple as that kind of a sequence, and you will defend 99% of timings that your opponents can throw at you right now in this like level of league. And then you saturate your fourth base. We're talking you go up to like 80 drones, 85 drones, and now you crank out Hydra Roach, Hydra Roach, Hydra Roach. And then now all you do is, from that point on, is you max out on Hydra Roaches and attack him over and over. Guarantee you're going to win so many of your games if you play like that.
Okay.
And then...
yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, were you going to say something else besides, yeah, that makes sense? I know, I'm cutting you off.
No. Yeah, like, I think my issue is just, like, one of the things is when they're not harassing me, I can execute on that. But when they harass me, I just kind of like, I can't execute like like I want to. And I'm trying to figure out kind of what are some strategies, like you said, that like I can deal with harassment in a way that maybe spends a little bit more minerals, but like requires fewer APMs. And so like one of the things you mentioned was like just like put down spore colonies every time, splitting up the army.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll make your life so much easier, because you see how he's multi-pronging you right now. If you just split your roaches in 2 spots and you had creep, if you were focusing on like not actually chasing his army, but instead you're focusing on your creep, and you're not trying to like you're trying to inject, you're trying to like spread your creep with your injects as a rotation, and you keep your roaches on one side of your creep, the other side would be like in your main or some shit, and then you're like, oh look, there he is. You don't even second guess yourself. Just be like, all right, I'm gonna grab my clump of roaches here and go to the blue clump. I'm gonna just go to the blob over there. And just fucking forget about it.
Okay.
And then, you know, and then you just, you keep your macro going, keep your macro going. You'll get to a point where you're able to just slam out units so fast that if your opponent wastes time trying to harass you, you might actually throw away an army. Be like, oh, well, I just threw away 8 roaches or 12 roaches to his fucking tank and 3 marauders and 12 marines over there. Oh, that was not great. But the thing is if he's wasting time trying to be super technical and you don't buy into it, you will actually be able to just remake a new roach army and just fucking kill him again. Like you'll repeatedly slam his ass over and over if you just macro, and you don't let him distract you.
So there's a couple of times where like I felt like I out macroed them, I guess like at least like mineral wise, and like units produced, but felt like Hydra Roach was just kind of like, so sometimes against like bio armies that were heavy tank,
Yeah.
like they would just like chew through them, and then they'd like maybe mount a counterattack, and like I wouldn't be able to like. And part of this is I think if I macro better, like this will be less of an issue. But it seemed like I had to macro a lot better than them because of the unit composition, or if I was going against Zerg and they went Lurker, like it seemed like Hydra Roach against Lurker was just like again like just like throwing my dudes into a into a blender where it's like, you know, we'd both be at like I'd be at 200, he'd be at 150, like our armies would like run into each other, and then like he'd be at 30 and I'd be at 100, and then I'd like remax, and then he'd like replace his 20, and then it would happen again, and then eventually I ran out of bank and ran out of larva.
Yeah, that's why I agree with you. What you're saying is correct, but the trick about it is your opponent's making armies that are technical, which makes them have to micro and focus on that a lot more. What you should be focused. What? Sorry, I got a cough. Oh, sorry. What you should be focusing on is no micro at all. You should be focusing on your main base, for instance. This is a problem. You need to make sure that's 8 out of 8 and your gas is properly saturated. Your natural looks good. Your third base is undersaturated. Your fourth base should be started. Like you should focus on not only getting up to like 80 drones as quick as you can, but you should also focus on maintaining optimal saturation with those drones the entire game. So it's not just like as soon as you get to like 3 or 4 bases, you stop making expansions and you just go for attack mode, which I think this is something a lot of people do when they watch Bronze GM. They get to the point to where like it's their first time that they max out, and they're like, well, I'll macro here and there, but now that I'm maxed, I kind of like ViBE says don't micro, but I'm gonna look at my army and I'm gonna micro a little bit because I don't want to make it. I feel like I could micro, but it's actually really bad to do that because if you're not,
I guess,
what's up?
Yeah, my question wasn't about when it was proper to micro, because I mean I think you're 100% right that like even if I tried to micro, I probably wouldn't be doing any good.
Yeah, well, it's more about macro, right? Like it's just a composition.
Right. Yeah, it was just kind of winter sometimes when I should switch up from the Hydra.
You should not. You should not. Is my point.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
this is the point I'm getting to. It's what you do is you optimally keep your saturation going, and if you run into a tank marine line, okay, if you go, all right, let's attack the tank marine. Okay, I have 200 supply. I have 85 of that as drones, and I just burned out 115 supply of Roach Hydra, and my opponent only lost 60. He lost half of what I lost, pretty much. And if you don't have the ability to remax, you're fucking it up. That's my point.
Okay.
You should be able to remax every single time, and you will overpower them. You guaranteed. It will. Like if you're not overpowering them, it means you're not remaxing as fast as you should be.
And that's true of lurkers. It's true of tanks. It's true of like.
It's not super true of lurkers though. Lurkers is like the only exception to this.
Okay.
With lurkers, I would say, if your opponent makes lurkers, that's kind of a shit show. Then, I would say maybe just make overseers, and try to see where they are and try to go around them, or try if you can try to like get them isolated, in some way, shape, or form. But lurkers is something that is way more technical, because the way they trade, and also the fact that they're cloaked. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, is that also true of Templars? Because I've had a couple of times where like the Templars will just chew through my army. Like,
if you just have detection, you can just A-move Templar, and you could kill an equal supply Templar army, no problem, with Roach Hydra. Unless they had Blink, and then maybe you would lose it, but you would still trade it insanely effectively against them.
Okay. Templars are the ones that Psystorm, right?
Oh, High Templars, yeah, okay. So High Templar, yeah, those things can chew your ass apart, but those things, they have energy limits. They can't just storm you repeatedly. They only have 200 max. They start with 50, and each storm is 75, and they generate about one energy, roughly like 1 energy every second. Let's just throw that. Let's say that. It's not exactly true, but yeah, it's roughly.
So the idea is just remax faster than he can regenerate his Psy Storms?
Yeah, for pretty much for everything. Even against lurkers, I would still recommend you do this. You're gonna run into people who play lurker styles really well. Really, not it's not gonna be very common. I feel like. Your goal should be this, okay? Saturate 80 drones as fast as you can, and then maintain that all game. In the meantime, you are going to max out then, and you will never not be maxed. So if you're not maxing out, it means that you're not optimally giving yourself enough larva.
Okay.
So that means that, you know, if you're like, why am I not maxed? Well, okay, so ViBE said I should be maxed again. Why is this not happening? And I guarantee if you go back and look at your queens, you probably have like 100 energy, 140 energy, 160 energy on your queens.
Yeah.
And it's because you're not focusing, like your tasks have shifted when they shouldn't have. Your tasks should still be inject, 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 inject. It's not the most fun way to play StarCraft, I'm not going to lie. But what it does do is if you actually get good at doing this, you can then add on more tasks to that, and then that's how you become a better player faster.
Okay.
It's like that is the golden rule there of improvement is you master one task and you just slowly add on other tasks to that task you've mastered. And the task that you should be mastering is the most important one, which is your macro. So like, and then the proper way too, just to say one last thing, the proper way you should be playing the game too, if you're at the stage where you're expanding, you're capitalizing all your workers, you're getting ready to attack, you attack. The best way you should be playing it is, I've already explained all the macro elements to it, and for the most part. But before you attack, send like one roach on like shift A move around expansions around his base, and you could even do one roach on either side of the map. So one roach on the south side and one roach on the north side. And the reason why you want to do this is you just want to see where is his newest base. And then as soon as
that's least defended and
exactly,
like,
yep, that's the base you should just attack.
Okay, and like everything's gonna be easier to crack than the natural.
Yeah,
so
yeah, 100%. If you're attacking the natural every time, I'll be like, okay, yeah, there's your problem. You're just diving into a fucking wood chipper every time. You're like expecting better good results. Well, like this right here, you're making Ravagers. You don't need these. But here, look at this too. In your base right now, he's multi-pronging you. If you did the thing I said a minute ago, where I was like, you just leave some of your army in your main, leave some of your army in the other side of your base, you would be defending this easy, and you could literally just focus on macro. While this Terran's like, oh shit, like oh my god, he's over here, he's over there, and there's a good chance he's gonna like fly into a fucking group of Hydras, lose a medevac. Guarantee that's just gonna happen, because this dude is not Maru. He's not like some top tier level Terran. He's gonna make mistakes as well. So if you just give yourself the advantages of just not having to be there because it's like a premeditated defense of spreading your shit out, then you're good to go. Easy peasy. But yeah, like you can see when the fights are going on, look at your hatcheries. There's no injects. Like your main has an inject, but it died. But your natural and your third are nothing going on. And then also your fourth isn't started up, stuff like that.
Yeah, and now all my guys are at the exact opposite end of where he's going to. I think at this point in the game, I've realized that I need to start splitting my troops. Yeah.
You do as well. I like it at this point, but you're no longer in a commanding position of macro. You're kind of evening out with your opponent, and this is not where you want to be with Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra is definitely a high economy style a high economy play style. So if you're not really capitalizing on the high economy, then it just becomes a weak play style, essentially. And yeah, he's just kind of like multi-pronging you to death here, a little bit like one attack here, one attack there. I could definitely see you dying to a meat grinder here. Like you're just gonna run into a bunch of tanks and die, because there's no remax potential here. Like let's look at when you're moving out. You're moving out right now, and I like that you just got the medevac. That's nice. But I just hit U on the keyboard to look at your units tab, and let's look at your larva really fast. If you lose this whole army, like you're not maxed still even at this point, But if you lose this whole army, you're able to remake 10 supply.
Yeah.
So, and each hatchery can have about like 19 larvae on it before it starts, like, because that is also something, if you don't know that, each hatchery has a limit of larvae. So if you have enough injects, like repeatedly pop off on a hatchery and you haven't had to spin the larva, once you get to 19 larvae, the hatchery will start deleting the excess larva that spawns out of it. So there is a limitation there, which is 19. So if you ever get into a game where you're like, wow, I have so much larva at every hatchery and I feel like I'm kind of wasting larva sometimes. At that point, you could even add on like 1 or 2 macro hatches. That'd be totally fine. And you could start injecting some macro hatches too. But 19 larvae per hatchery, if you have like 5 bases or 4 bases with 19 larvae per hatchery, you're going to remax. No matter what. Even if you lose your entire army, you are going to remax. So really respecting that rule is like, you'll never have that problem where you're, you know, a situation like what we're about to see where your army drops down and does not go back up. So you kill the tanks with corrosive biles. Good job. You killed his third base. That was nice. And now check this out, okay? So but you did micro that because you were using your units and shit. But now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go right here to this point right right now. If you were to A-move his third base is dead either way. Like there's no way he holds it. And now at 11 minutes and 18 seconds, let's look at your base really fast and let's see what happens in your base. So I'm just going to kind of move my camera up and down your bases and see what you do. And I'm also going to look at your production tab. So, and again, this started at 11:18.
Yeah, there's not a single thing in my base.
Exactly. Like, nothing is being produced. No injects are being applied to your hatcheries.
Yeah.
Your drones are still inefficiently mining the main. There's no 4th base started. You're starting to mine out on your other base. But look at his production too. You notice how he's not building anything either?
Yeah.
Like this is the common problem. Like this is everybody's problem in lower leagues. Is they just tunnel, like they always say this. They're always like, you know what? I do macro, I do remax. I try to macro a little bit, but I try to focus on my macro. But they just neglect it so hard as soon as the battle really starts, because both players are like, fuck, I gotta win this battle, otherwise I'm gonna lose the game. But that's not how StarCraft works. StarCraft is like, I could lose this battle and the next battle, and then the third battle I'll win because you're still using your first army, and I just made 3 armies at the time you made 1.
Yeah.
That's Zerg for you, dude. That's how Zerg works. You gotta be okay, just throwing out some units, being like, oh, you guys are gonna die. It's fine. I'll just make more. It's fine. It's cool.
So when I did an attack like that, he like counterattacked pretty hard. Like, so even if I was like, say for instance, I guess the whole idea is if I was remaxing,
you would have rallies.
Attacking, that I would have guys.
Yep. You would have new units to defend this, easy peasy. Okay. And also, you would see this because you would not be microing your army. You would be macroing, and you would be then going, oh look, he's attacking me as well. I'll just go ahead and send my new units I just made to go stop that. And you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna let it all die because he's trying to multi-prong you, being like, defend, attack, okay, rotate SCVs. All right, okay, load up the medevacs, stim. Like, I guarantee he's either gonna lose his attack or he's gonna take a terrible trade as well at his whatever's you're attacking. Like something's gonna fall apart for him, and it's because he's focusing everything on micro. He should be focusing everything on micro, and you're not, because that's just how people play in Gold League, and that's how you shouldn't play. You should just you know, because like we'll go back to the timer again, okay? We'll talk about this one more time. 11:18 was when this battle started, and right now at 11:57 you just started your first thing. Still, no injects have happened the entire time, and you're just starting your first 9 roaches. So that's 39 seconds exactly of time where nothing happened from macro, and that is more. That's not only more than an inject, because an inject is only 29 seconds, but that also, if you think about it like this, an inject pops three units off of three larvae off of a hatchery. Hatcheries themselves also automatically spawn a larva every 10 seconds. So essentially, every larva inject you have is the automated larva is double that. Like if you combine them, so you could have 6 larvae every 30 seconds. And if we're talking about 6 larvae every 30 seconds on each one of your hatcheries, that's now 18 units that could have been made. And then on top of that there's another 20 seconds. We'll just round it off to 20 seconds because it's 39. Or sorry, it's an extra 10 seconds. An extra 10 seconds. So that's an extra 1 unit. So now we're talking instead of 18 larvae, it's 21 larvae. That's 42 supply, and that could be, if you look at your supply right now and you had 42 supply, just in that one thing alone, that could almost max you out again.
Yeah.
And then also, that's not even just saying, like, you 100% still could be maxed, because that's assuming your macro up to this point has been perfect. You've missed a lot more macro over the whole time of him dropping you and harassing you too.
Yeah.
So you should, like, at this point, I feel like you could totally have like 10 larvae on each hatchery just kind of sitting there while you're maxed, because you'd have so much larvae to work with. All right, I'm gonna quiz you really fast, okay? This is a quiz time.
Sure. Yeah.
How many drones do I want you to go for if we're talking about your ideal number once you get there?
Kind of like late mid game, 80.
Yes, correct. And now, how often? Okay, actually, I didn't really say this before, so this is not fair. I'm not gonna say what I'm saying. Okay, so 80 is correct. Okay, the quiz is over. Congratulations, you got an A+.
What was how often though?
What I was gonna say as a follow up to that would be your expansions, like your timing of your expansions, and what I want you to do is every single time, like when you're going up to 80, as soon as you saturate another base, I want you to take another expansion. So you saturate your main, you take a natural. You saturate your natural, you take a third. You saturate your third, you take a fourth. You saturate your fourth, you take a fifth. And as soon as you're on 5 bases, as soon as your bases start mining out, because you'll be at 80 then, by the way. As soon as your bases are mining out, then as soon as you hear mineral patch depleted, that's your cue to expand again.
Okay.
And then you just want to maintain no inefficient mining, no red numbers there. Like, because do you have your, by the way, do you have your numbers displayed over your hatchery and gas?
I do. I just got flustered from all of the.
Oh, it's just no. It's totally.
That I wasn't.
It's totally
wasn't
fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. I'm not trying to be like, why the fuck are you transferring your drones? That's totally fine. I know some people don't even know that exists. So as long as you're using it, that's what I want you to do. But yeah, just keep the expansions running, and yeah, you'll be good. And then it's seriously just inject. You know, what I've basically beaten to death this game for you. Yeah, because there's been no remax here. Like there was almost a max, but there's definitely no remax.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, building a hatchery here was a waste. Probably should have built one.
Oh, and your main base again?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. I think it's fine. The reason why is because it's map vision. It's kind of nice.
Okay.
It's kind of nice to have vision of your base and not have to have like blind spots.
Okay.
Because also at the same time, you should be thinking about your main base. That's also just kind of like a macro hatch at this point. You still do need it for production, so it's fine.
I mean, at this point, the game's basically over.
No, it definitely is. There was no remax, so you got screwed. But yeah, if you really just follow the rules that we talked about, where you're making units, all you're doing is making units. You're gonna be good to go, because that is the golden rule. Okay, seriously, this is the golden rule. Get yourself a build order, so you don't have you can memorize it. You don't have to react to it. You just memorize it. This is what you should start learning StarCraft with. And the build order I'm giving you right now is do Bronze to GM up until when you made roaches. Everything you did up to that point was good.
Well, I'm gonna add in the 4 Zerglings, right?
Yes, that too. Okay, good call. Good catch. But 12 roaches for your first roaches, and then stop.
Uh-huh.
Saturate your third, full like mineral, at least the mineral line. If you're worried and you're feeling unsafe, you can make roaches before you take the gas at your third. That's fine. I'm not against that. But if you're like feeling really confident and you want to try and take your gas, that's also fine. But saturate your third. Make 12 more roaches. Okay, and then what I want you to do, if your opponent does not have a third base, I want you to take a fourth base, but not actually saturate it yet, because you need to probably deal with an attack that's coming pretty soon.
Okay.
That kind of like becomes like a judgment call where if I were to tell you to saturate 80 fucking drones and your opponent's doing a 2-base all into you, you're probably gonna die. So, try to see if he has a third base with your overlord or something, and if he does, you're good to go. You can saturate to 80 drones and you're fine. If he does not have a third base, maybe make units up until like 130 supply or something, 120, 130 supply, and then you can go to 80 drones, and you'll be fine.
Okay.
So it'll just be like getting
so if I have like
roaches. What's up?
Okay, so like a 60 supply army should be able to defend against a 2-base all-in.
Yeah, because the 2-base all-in is early. So if you actually were to get to that point where I was like, if you don't see a third, make army up to like 130 supply or something. He's going to be attacking you before you go back to droning anyways. Like, it's just going to happen. Unless he's really just doesn't know what he's doing. Then he's like, oh, fuck, I'm sitting here just making units. But as soon as you can, try your best to get to the 80 drones. Okay. And then once you're there, then just the only thing you do is your rotation of inject, creep, make units, and then periodically when you feel like you have nothing to do, if you're like I just made the units, I made the creep, I made the injects, look at your hatcheries. Look at your hatcheries and go, is this base optimally saturated? Yes. Next one, is this base optimally saturated? Yes. Cool. And you can also do your upgrades at this time too, in your free time. Because these are things that you don't have to do every single time, but they're things that you should keep in your mind. Like, okay, my main base is starting to mine out. Next time I have a moment, let's send them over. Okay, my upgrades are done. Next time I have a moment, let's start upgrades.
So, and in terms of tech tree, like, don't even bother going into Hive, or
no, you can go Hive. You can even go Broodlords, like you said before. I'm totally up for that. The thing I want you to do though, is I want you to really respect the rule of macro and never break it. Just never break that fucking rule. And I like how in the email you were like, you're probably going to tell me to macro, and you're not wrong.
It's one of those things that I like understand at like an intellectual level, but it's not quite intuitive yet. So like when somebody like kicks me in my balls, my first instinct isn't to like macro. It's like, oh, let me like keep them from kicking me in the balls.
I almost couldn't wait for the lesson.
So I'm gonna need 1 second. I have a donation message going off. I can't hear you anymore.
How you were tapping to this guy's voice because there was nothing else interesting to do. Glad I had the patience to wait, even though it's weird you're still talking.
Hey, Gecko, thank you, man. You're always the nicest guy, Gecko. Thank you. You're such a gentleman. Thanks, dude. All right, James. Let's do one more. Let's start another replay up and let's get it going, dude. Let's get it going.
Okay.
And I also need to reread this while you host up replay. I need to reread this message from the donation because I honestly didn't even hear half of what it fucking said. I don't even know what it said. That was my generic answer right there. I almost couldn't wait for the lesson to end. I laughed so hard when you messaged me how you were fapping. Oh, okay. Fapping this guy's voice because there was nothing else to do. Glad I had the patience to wait. James, you're fucking great, by the way. James, you're fucking great.
Thanks.
Did you hear the donation message? Just out of curiosity.
No, I didn't. What did it say?
Okay, it said I was fapping to your voice essentially.
That what?
It said I was fapping to your voice.
Somebody was fapping to your voice?
No, me fapping to your voice.
Oh, okay.
All right, give me the host and we'll do this up again.
Yeah. Okay. Promote to lobby hosts.
And we can.
One other question.
Go ahead. Go
Questions
for it.
like when they're being harassed, when is a good time to throw like spine crawlers like in my mineral lines?
When you're fully saturated. That's something that I would recommend you do once you're at 80 drones.
Okay, let's just start throwing spine crawlers in my mineral line.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fine. Well, you need to be fully saturated though. You need to have you need it to not hiccup your economy, because they're expensive, and the earlier you make them, the harder it is to recover from making them.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like there's a high interest rate in StarCraft.
Yeah.
And so kind of spend it as late as possible so that you can get like the best return on your investment.
Yeah.
Like which is
because your build is also designed to keep you safe with the roaches, anyways.
Okay.
All right. Oh shit, dude, this is a long one. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna pause this really fast. Okay, James, this is the deal we have to make. Okay. We're gonna have to make a deal here. Do you want to commit to this, which is going to honestly be the second coaching lesson, or do you want to save this replay for a different time, and you can do it on a different day? Because
I mean,
I will. Let me just recommend something.
Yeah, because I didn't realize how long. Because I had a list of like games that I lost, but I didn't put how long it were.
For sure, it's all good. I was gonna say, one of the biggest things about coaching is I would say it's probably the best to focus on one matchup a day, because it really lets whatever we just talked about sink in for that matchup. And if you focus on multiple matchups at the same time, it's really easy to forget a lot of the shit we just talked about, which means it's more time for you to have to go back and rewatch it. It's less efficient value of your time, because your brain just forgets. It just happens.
Could we maybe, instead of like going through the whole game, I think there's like 3 times that I marked down. Like we just go over those 3 kind of times to see like it's like one at 5 minutes, one at 7:20, one at
sure.
And they're just kind of different engagements where I think I kind of lost the.
Okay. Let's see it.
So the first one is at 5 minutes where he eats my lunch with adepts.
All right. And then also, if we do another coaching lesson, like not today, but if we do one like on a different day, just let me know what day works for you again, and it'll be super easy to schedule. I feel like I'm pretty easy to schedule with. I'm not too picky. You only have it's just you have to be in that 1 hour time frame, or otherwise you're not getting a coaching lesson. I'm just kidding. All right, let's see these adepts, dude. What are these adepts doing? Okay.
So I'm a little bit slow with the roaches in this game because of some early adept harassment that slowed me down. So he sent out 2 adepts and they killed off. Let me see. Let me look at units lost. And so they killed off 5 drones, the first 2 adepts.
Okay.
Which came up before, and so that's why I'm like hitting the roaches late at 5:20.
Yeah. Same thing again with against Protoss. You can just, to make it easy for yourself, make like 4 links when you make your queens.
Okay.
That way, when the first adept comes across the map, if it happens, you just don't go off creep again and just shove them away, and it'll make your life a little easier.
Okay.
All right. So right now you don't have any roaches yet. You have a couple that are about to spawn, but
I have a couple in my main base, like 3 in my main base.
Oh, sorry, I see them. So you're about to have 5 roaches, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about adepts is they can kill your drones fast, just in general, and then as soon as they get resonating glaives, which is the upgrade they get from the Twilight Council, it makes their attack speed go to stim pack adepts, basically. They become stim depths, and they just beat the shit out of your drones ridiculously fast. If you ever are in a situation like this, the perfect thing to do right now would be double-click a drone and right-click your mineral patch in your main base. Any of them. Get the fuck out of there. Because if you leave your drones there, watch how fast they die. Like, they're going to die super fast. The only time you ever want to, like, it's okay to leave them here would be if you had an army that was going to catch it. And even if you were to focus fire your drones, his adepts are going to die so fast that it doesn't matter. It's the only time it's okay not to run away from them. But right now you have nothing that's going to kill them. You need to run away for sure.
Okay.
Let's look at this. You've already lost 7 drones. That's 9 drones. 9 drones died in like 5 seconds. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah. And then I run after them, and then they run over here, and
then here's the way to do this. Okay, this is gonna require a little bit of finesse. And the more roaches you have, the easier this is. And you know, this would happen if you didn't get behind early on. You would have more things to work with. But when you fight adepts, and he's just shading around your base like this, move his adepts. Where, like, if as soon as he first arrives in your base, all your roaches get on his adepts. As soon as he shades away, and you're currently in a concave with him, and his shades are going away from you, and your roaches are fighting him straight up, grab half of your roaches. Just green box it. Just be like, green box roaches, and move command to wherever they're going.
Okay.
So you don't grab all the roaches, you just grab like half. So if he cancels it, he's going to still be fighting your roaches. If he lets it finish, he's going to be fighting your roaches that chased the adept shades.
Okay. And what's kind of the trading between roaches and adepts?
Roaches fuck is what happens.
Okay.
Roaches pin down the adepts and they just go to town. That sounds fucked up, but yeah. Roaches are way better. They trade like a roach is better than an adept 1v1. Even if the adept has resonating glaives.
Okay. Because I was just worried with these 2 roaches that, like, they might be... they might not fuck these 5 adepts.
So here's the thing too. Like the other thing about it is 2 roaches will lose to 5 adepts. That is true, but they will still take adepts with them before they die. But the big thing that they do is they buy you time, and that time is to buy, or yeah, exactly, to make more roaches.
Okay.
You will make roaches at a faster rate than he will make adepts, and 1 versus 1 roaches will beat adepts. So you will eventually overpower him if you do this like method, basically, because you're maximizing your mining. You're not having to run away all the time, and you're also not losing your drones this way.
Okay.
So you'll overpower it like that. All right. So what was the next timer?
Next one is, I think it's 7:20.
Okay.
There was some time when they show up with like 20 phoenixes and destroy every single drone I have.
20 phoenix.
Something like that. There's a lot of phoenixes. Like they.
You said 7:20?
I think maybe it was 7:20. Maybe it was later.
Yeah. I don't. This guy might not even go Stargate, dude. He's going full gateway explosion. It might honestly be a different game, unless it's like really late in the game. Maybe it's 17:20.
Maybe. Yeah. What happened? I wrote down 7:20.
He's just kind of chilling on a 3 base. You're definitely fucked right now, though. Like in this game, just because, like he's put you behind with the adepts, and he's got a fully saturated third, and your third is just starting.
Yeah.
So this never feels good for sure. This game would be like one of those situations where I would be like, you've fallen too far behind early on, just because of the opener, and now it's gonna be really hard to recover.
Yeah. Just quit and play a different game.
Well, like you could learn what to do from here, but this is like learning what to do when you're massively behind. And it's not really like good to learn how to play StarCraft by learning how to play massively behind, because it makes you fall massively behind when you shouldn't fall massively behind.
Right.
You should just learn how to get ahead. And then from there, once you develop that, then you can learn how to play from behind if you don't manage to get ahead. Once you know how to play from ahead.
Okay.
Well, I'm just time zating it. We can see if something you're looking for here happens.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I think it was 17:20 because he's now making Phoenix.
Okay.
Okay, now it's they're flying around. Almost ready to attack your base, maybe. Okay, it's so 14:20. He gets into your base with Mass Phoenix.
Yeah.
14 minutes into the game, you should have been maxed out before this. You should have been maxed out by probably 10 minutes. So you would have known he was going Phoenix before he just shows up with a bunch of Phoenix. That's step 1, okay? So that changes how you react to it.
So step 1 is build 4 Zerglings so that he can't screw me with his first adepts. So then I have roaches by the time his second adepts show up, which means I don't get screwed. This is like that Ashton Kutcher movie Butterfly.
Yep, exactly. You don't want to change anything, or like you know, letting things fall apart in the past ruins the future. And yeah, like your drones dying early game definitely gave you a shitty future. This is not good. So If you would have had like roaches the first time with maybe a little bit of hydras attacking him, and you were like, oh look, he's going into Phoenix now, and this was at like 10 minutes, and let's say instead of 17 Phoenix and 4 carriers, he has 0 carriers and like 5 Phoenix, and you're like, oh look, he's going into Stargate units now. You could then prioritize, instead of going for maybe like 2/3 roaches, 1/3 hydra in your army composition, you could go reverse of that. You could go 1/3 hydra, or sorry, 1/3 roach, 2/3 hydra. So now you're just like making more hydras overall for what you have, and you keep attacking him repeatedly. And if you would have done something like that, this guy would die 100% to a hydra army. If you had maxed out on hydras, you would crush his ass. But now at this stage, again, there's like nothing you can really do, because if you look at the drone count, you're at 45, he's at 71. The only real way you defend this at this stage is you like throw down some spores, so that every time he commits to your base, he takes damage from spores. We're talking like 3 spores per base. And then on top of that, it's, you know, you also gotta, another way you could deal with it is like you could make, to be honest, I'm not gonna really tell you anything else right now. There's a lot of ways you could deal with it. Like you could deal with it with infestors, you could deal with it with corruptors. None of these really apply. I think you should just deal with it with hydras, because if you just macro properly, you don't make it too technical. The more technical we make this, the harder it is going to be for you to simply macro properly, because you're going to be thinking about so much other shit all the time. If you just make it simple for yourself and go hydra, 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 hydra's the answer to everything. It really is if you have better macro than your opponent. Okay,
so 2 options are, one, like put down spore colonies, build hydras, kidnap Sarah on the back of my trunk, and while I hit pause and make him play the rest of the game.
There you go, dude. That's you know, if you want to go win BlizzCon, that's how you do it. But yeah, like a lot of the scouting comes into like if you just are able to execute what I'm talking about with this whole 80 drone thing, and you get to a point where you max out, you're going to max out when your opponents are like 100 supply. Like they're not going to be prepared for what you have. So a lot of your scouting then is going to come from your attacks. You're just going to keep it like they're just going to be stuck like on the back foot the entire game, and you're like, what are you barely not dying with this time? Oh, Phoenix. Okay, let's just make more hydras. Cool. And now you're dead.
Okay.
It'll happen a lot. But yeah, like that's the like homework I would give you essentially until the next coaching lesson, which I if you want me to give you a time frame on when I think you probably should get one, maybe like give yourself like a week, maybe even 2 weeks, but at least 1 week to let this sink in. And then you can give me some new replays once you've, you know, like advanced your skill level at this kind of mindset. Give your just focus 100% on get to 200 supply by like 10 minutes, which means you get 80 drones really fast with like minimal roaches, which is like 12 roaches on your natural, another 12 on your third base when you're fully saturated. So we're talking like 24 roaches, and you're on like now you're on 80 drones. Does that make sense? Like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And then you're just maxing out on, once you have that really juicy drone count, you max out as quick as you can. And if you can max out with 80 drones by 10 minutes, I will be like, holy fuck, that's good. That's like diamond level shit right there. Maybe even masters. Like that's solid.
Okay.
And then on top of that, that's not the end of it. The next part is, so that's like step 1 of a 2-step thing. Step 2 is maintaining that. So every time you take a fight, you're not microing, you're not splitting your units around. All you're doing is you're choosing where to fight and then letting it happen. And every time as the fight's happening, you're focusing on spreading your creep, because spreading your creep is letting you take more control of the entire map. And it's also going to reinforce your next attack faster, because it's going to give your second attack and your third attack more mobility to walk across the map further, which gives you just more damage, timing, control, all these things.
So after I finish my macro, can I check in on the fight even just for a second to be like, okay, should I pull or not, or should I just wait on that?
You can only do that if you physically have done the macro to the point to where you're like, okay, well, I have nothing. I've actually done it too fast now, and I can't do anything else.
Like I finished the whole macro cycle. Like I've done all my ejects. I've done all my creep spreads. I built everything that I need to build. I'm back at 200. Now go check.
And So this is like I'm partially agreeing with what you say, but I'm also partially wanting you not to do this because this is like a recipe for disaster for you. And the reason why is because when you do this, you're gonna. I know it happens to everybody.
I'm not
Sometimes,
gonna even take my eyes away.
exactly. You're just gonna start being like, "Oh, well, I gotta micro this dude. I gotta micro." And then you're gonna fall in the exact same
Yeah.
trap you've already fallen into.
Yeah. Well, if I just move these guys a little bit, I think this will be the
Yeah.
game-winning.
If I move these 4 hydras over here and those 4 hydras over there, I can dodge a little bit of AoE, and I think I'll be able to break this. Suddenly, your opponent's 50 supply ahead of you, and you're like, "Fuck, where did things go wrong?" But yeah, the macro elements are: do not let your bases be oversaturated. Always maintain optimal 80 drones, so expand often. Make sure you inject in a timely manner all the time, and you're also spinning that larva if you're not already maxed. And also, every time you inject, spread your creep.
Okay.
And then if you can manage to do all of those things, and you actually have a couple seconds, I would say you can look at the army, but make a mental note for yourself that if you ever look at the army for more than 5 seconds, you should just quit the game.
Okay.
It's like a slap on the wrist. Be like, okay, time to quit the game. Okay, don't actually quit the game, obviously, but don't look at the army for like 5 seconds or longer. Like, make it quick and snappy. Don't try to micro. Just be like, okay, my army needs to go that way. Okay, send it that way. We're good.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, because I think like one of the things like so one is just like I need to like when battles happen do that, but also I just need to, I guess, figure out also how to deal better with harassment so that I can.
And
Like, things
that's
like
why
just,
you
like,
should
the
be looking.
Zerglings, I think will help a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
Like just because like it's hard to it's hard to macro up when you're down 20 drones.
Exactly. But yeah, dude, those things I think if you can just focus on that, you just really focus on this remax, like always keeping your supply above like 180 even during a fight, that's gonna make you a fucking boss. Because like you're just like literally holding down the Hydra key as your Hydras are dying, and after you've already macroed. Like that's what you should be doing rather than trying to micro right now.
Yeah, I mean I also when I picked the games I picked like the ones that I did I did the worst at.
No, I agree. I appreciate that. Like I don't want you to give me replays where I'm like you're like trying to brag and shit and be like, look how good I am, dude. I don't even know if I need coaching. Like what's the point?
Yeah, I totally devastated this 2900 player.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure I'm on the way to Masters.
Yeah, I've coached so many people and I've seen so many people have like struggle with different things, and a lot of times if I say something, don't ever think that I'm ever like judging you either. It's just more of just like helpful critiques that you may or may not know as well.
I mean, you know, it's also just like you don't get anything out of coaching from like looking at your best games, right?
Sometimes you do, honestly. Sometimes you do, but you do learn the most definitely on a game you played terrible at. All right, man.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, thank you for doing this, and once again, happy. I don't know what day it is, but happy birthday, bro. Hope it was.
Oh yeah.
Has it already happened?
It was 1 week ago today.
Okay. I hope it was. I hope it was a good day. Hope it was fun.
Yeah, it was nice. Went out this weekend, drank, had some margaritas and tacos, and.
Oh, dude, that sounds fucking great. That already sounds really good, man. Sounds like you had a blast.
It was good.
You know,
okay. Well, yeah. Well, thanks. I'll probably, I guess, message you in like another week or two.
You've made
once
me.
I,
You've made me want tacos.
Say it again?
You made me want tacos. I want tacos now.
What part of the country are you in?
What else? What's up?
Oh, what part of the country are you in?
Oh, I'm in Colorado.
Okay. Do they have good tacos there?
Yeah, I could go to Chipotle, or there's a place called Three Margaritas. That place is delicious.
Oh, nice.
That place is so good. Yeah, there's a lot of Mexican food near me. That's pretty good.
Nice. I went to Salt Lake City once and went to their 5-star Mexican restaurant called Red Iguana.
Nice.
And it was a surprise. I didn't know that you could make Mexican food with that little spice or flavor, but so I never know what part of the countries are have good tacos and which parts are taco deserts.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on a taco cruise, dude. Let's make that happen. Someone make that a thing.
Yeah, put that on your subscribe to buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's my sub goal right there.
buy some tacos.
All right, man. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you again on the stream in Yeah, I'll talk to you in emails and stuff, and we'll schedule another coaching lesson for like a week or two from now.
Okay, great. Thanks, man.
All right. Good luck, dude.
Thanks.